nasty way you curse. She was made to blow you away. When you sit down, it's wild how you sit. Grind your heel in the ground, the groovy way you spit.
My name is Vera Rose, and I'm a solo performer out of the Seacoast area, and I've performed all around New England.
I'm Miss Alexa Crowley of Lady Luck Burlesque. I am based out of the Seacoast. I am new-ish to dancing, and I am inspired by all things spooky and scary. I came to burlesque mostly by accident. I was going through a really hard, ugly time in my life, and I saw an ad on Facebook for an amateur competition, and I thought, like, this will make me feel like myself again. I got signed to Lady Luck after that, and burlesque has been my joy ever since then.
Is that I've always had a big interest in anything historical that was kind of different and not mainstream, and I've also liked that I can relate to the people who are in burlesque, meaning when I've watched burlesque live or if I've seen videos, I see women the same body size as me, so I was like, okay, I can do this. And I also did the amateur contest. It was the first one. I saw the ad and I kind of went back and forth. I wasn't sure because I'm normally a shy person, but I was like, I have to do this. I need a hobby. The director at the time really liked me, and she put me on next month, and I've been doing it ever since, and I love it. I wrote down quite a few. One that pops out in my head, I love the Velvet Underground, and a lot of people know this song, but it's Venus in Furs, and I love it because it's slow. And you have multiple instruments that you hear in that song, but you do end up hearing like the guitar in the background, which is just like, that would be my base to make the choreography to it. But it's slow and sensual, and you can just move like very like slinky to it, and it just has a lot of sexual energy in it. I mean, the whole song, I mean, if you listen to it, I love them. I think they're a great band to dance to, just especially for the slow stuff or like sexy stuff like that. So yeah, that's one of mine.
I tend to gravitate towards like a very classic garage rock sort of style. I really like, I love the Fratellis. I think they're awesome to do burlesque too. They have tons of songs, especially on Costello Music, which I think was their first album. Then, like Chelsea Dagger is a classic sort of neo-burlesque song. But the Black Keys, I've seen several great acts to Howlin' For You. One was as a werewolf. It was adorable and I loved it. Howlin' For You, Gold on the Ceiling, She's Long Gone is a solo that I'm working up right now, because when I listen to that song, I imagine a story with it, and I need that, and I also think that very, like, it's just guitar, bass, drums, that's it. And that's, for the style of dance that I do and for the character that I play, that's all I need. That suits me perfect.
I also love the Stooges, I Want to Be Your Dog. It's kind of like very raw, like, I mean, if you know the Stooges, like, that's what it is, they're shock value. It's sexy and then it gets fast, and I love that too. I love songs where it kind of can start slow and then the audience don't know what to expect, and then it goes fast like that. So that's like the type of the fast songs I would love to like perform to down the road too. That's a really fun one. And also the Cramps are an awesome band to perform to as well. They're a great garage band, and a lot of their songs, they start out slow and sexy, and they can go more than that. Like a Bad Girl Should is one of my favorites. I mean, with the lyrics and everything, it's like raw and like sexual, and I love the energy that comes out of songs. I think that's why I have that love for metal and punk music, because it's that raw energy and it brings out everything out of you. Because I'm naturally a shy person, but if you throw on the right song, like, I just let go. Yes. And it's not even like, I'm not even talking about removing clothes, but you just like lose yourself and you forget about all the problems in the world, and you just like let go, and you just, it feels good. It's like a rush, and I love that.
Yeah, anything, I think a lot of metal especially is great for bringing theatricality, and especially if you're not like a very technical dancer, it's all about theatricality. And even if you are, I think it's about acting, it's about face, it's about persona. So a song like Mr. Crowley is perfect because there's a narrative to it, or there's like a narrative that I associate with it, and it's a big, like, it has almost an operatic quality to it that I think allows you want to match the size and energy of the song to the size and energy of your performance. And if it's a huge, booming, like theatrical song, you can bring a huge, booming theatrical performance to it. That's why I love that kind of music. I think people have the idea that it's only women, which is definitely not the case, that you have to look a certain type of way, which, as you just said, absolutely not the case. I've seen every kind of person on stage, and the audience does not respond to you based on how you look. The audience responds to you based on like creativity and charisma and energy, and not looks at all. No. I don't think. I think people have the idea that burlesque is either very seedy or very classic and Moulin Rouge and like glamorous sort of, and there is some of that, but there's a lot in the middle, and I think I'm very comfortable in the middle. Because I have no classical dance background at all, can't stress that enough, don't really know how to dance. The way that I come to kind of put my pieces together, especially my solos, is it has to be very narrative oriented. I have to have a character and I need to have a concept. And sometimes the song and the concept are very one-to-one. Like I do an act to the song Mandy Goes to Med School by the Dresden Dolls. It's a song about a bad doctor, and I do the act as a bad doctor. And it's very one-to-one. The song told me how to act and what to do and what to wear. And then sometimes it's a little bit less on the nose, but I will take a piece of the song and make a character and a narrative and a concept out of it. I need to have that character and that narrative to rely on, because all the classic like choreography elements are not something that come naturally to me. So I need to make a story for myself so I know where to go and what to do.
When I come up with a concept, I guess in more detail, it's more of it's either based on a song or a theme idea. I find it interesting that you do it that way, because I'm usually just like, oh, this song sounds good, I think I could do that. And then I think I develop my character later. So I think that's really cool that you do it that way, because I do the opposite.
Do it that way. That's so funny.
Because I'll think of a song or I'll think of a theme, like whether it's based on a horror movie or something, and then I develop my character last at that. So I think that's really cool.
That's funny. Yeah. My song gives me my character. I'm using the song in the future, the song Toes by Glass Animals. There's a line in it, 5 fingers, 2 black hooves. And that was all I needed, and I got a character and a narrative and a concept from just that line. But I need something from the song, or it doesn't come naturally, or the inspiration isn't there for me.
So burlesque, a lot of people go back and forth on when it kind of emerged. It actually originated during the Victorian time out of the UK, and it got brought over to the United States. It got really popular during the 20s with the Ziegfeld Follies, who came from Europe, and they traveled all around the world. So during the 20s, you have a lot of like the trumpet and the brass instruments and piano, and it's a lot of like very cheesecake and like very cutesy. You know, it was right before the Depression, and that was the source of entertainment for people, and like all these big band instruments, and that goes into 30s and 40s as well. You see the big bands, a lot of trumpets and pianos, so it's like big sounds, very classic. I noticed in the 20s, like a lot of the lyrics didn't start till halfway the song, so it's very instrumental heavy, and then halfway through you have the lyrics, or someone singing for it. But as the time goes by, there's more singing and big bands. And then you kind of see a shift in the 60s. I think that's when you start to get more guitar-heavy bass songs for burlesque, and a lot of bass sounds, and that helps with like, you know, the bumps and grinds that kind of goes along with it. And then burlesque kind of fell off after the 60s because they introduced strip clubs and topless strip clubs, so people, you know, they're more interested in that. So that was a lull with that. And then, you know, then you come the disco and the synth, and burlesque was still not coming back quite yet. People just dancing and doing their own thing. And then it kind of revived back in the 90s. And that's when you kind of have a mix of all the classic music, but you kind of have the new ones. And then the neo-burlesque kind of got big in the United States too then. So it's kind of the background for that.
Oh my goodness, I loved my history lesson. That was so great. I want to listen to your like burlesque history podcast. I blanked on what the question was. I was so enthralled in that. Yeah, I think a lot of the music that people use is based on their character. If they have a very sort of like cohesive, consistent character, which I do, she is spooky and sexy and like a little bit threatening almost. There's a lot of that classic, like you said, that cheesecake, glittery, glitzy look that I don't do. It just doesn't really work for me. So I like songs that are sort of grungy because that is more the look that I go for. So I love the Black Keys. I love stuff like that. I love Ozzy, like you said. My character is Alexa Crowley. So my next big solo for the spring is going to be Mr. Crowley by Ozzy Osbourne.
That's awesome.
I think it's going to be cute. I'm excited. Cute's probably not the word.
It's going to be cute.
It's going to be cute.
I'm a big Black Sabbath fan, so I've actually thought about dipping in drag as Ozzy, but we'll see.
Oh my God, we should do it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, so I think it depends on your character. Like, I know lots of girls who, for example, love Madonna or love J-Lo or love the really upbeat, like, 80s and 90s pop music that really is consistent with their character. So it depends on, I love the guitar and bass, like, sort of garage rock themed music because it works for my character.
And, like, it's funny because, like, I have a big background in classic and I do love the big brass bands and stuff, but now I've been kind of shifting and doing more, like, neo-burlesque, like your stuff, because I love both. I think it's just fun to explore because, like, I have a heavy background. Like, I love punk rock music. I grew up on that in high school, on metal music. My friends and I used to go to all shows, and I think when I first started burlesque, you know, I didn't really think about it as much. I stuck with, like, the classic stuff, but now that I'm more exposed to it, I'm like, oh, okay, I want to try to do this. If there is like a bass-led song, it has to be like consistent and deep and loud. Because when you are performing, you are doing the same type of, like, you need to show it up. You can't just be on stage and just be like this. Like, if you have like a heavy bass, like it just boom, 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 like that helps you like move your hips. I think that helps a lot. I associate bass with like hips, I think, because it's just like big and like you're just like moving and you're showing like a presence. So it has to be loud and prominent in the song, because at least to me, if it's a loud, prominent part of the song, that's gonna be what leads you to your choreography. I've noticed that with all songs, whether it's like a trumpet or guitar, it's like whatever's the loudest or the lead is what will coordinate like with my movements in the song.
That loud, consistent bass line is so helpful because, especially if it's like mid-tempo or slower, something that is very driving and very fast is hard for me to dance to, just because I feel like you want to coordinate your body to that leading line, whatever that is, if it's the bass or it's the guitar or it's the trumpet. And something that's very frenetic is going to be almost impossible to dance to for me, and especially to dance to in a way that's going to be sexy, because burlesque is big. Everything's big. The looks are big. The characters are big. The dance is big. The face is big. Your facial expressions. Everything has to be very emotive. And when something is slower, it's easier to really milk every second out of every movement and out of every facial expression. You can take forever in burlesque on very little things, like even something as simple as taking off a glove. That can last. You can do an 8 count just taking off a glove. And people love it. You really want to milk every second out of everything you do. So the more bass-led and consistent it is, the easier it is to match your movements and your expressions to the music.
Sometimes I pick fast songs and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to have time to like remove everything. So you kind of always have to figure that out. I do like some fast songs because I'm known for my hip shaking and butt shaking. So I do like that part. So I always try to find a balance and try to practice both of them, because I'd like to be good at like fast and slow.
Oh my God, I love this question. So I just got so excited.
The best way, whether it's dipping into doing burlesque or getting to know other people, go to the shows. That's the first thing you can do. If you have any slight interest in that show, go to shows. Start locally too. I always tell everyone, always support the local arts first, whether it's in your town, like you go to Boston. That's the best way to meet people, whether it's in the audience or you can talk to the artist after. Get to know them, you know? I mean, that's your gateway to get into the community. Another way to get in is you can look into volunteering as a stage kitten. That's a really great way because you get to learn behind the scenes. You see all the work that gets put into it, and you're helping out. Again, another way of networking is doing that way. I know I love to network personally because I like to get to know artists outside of the area because I'd like to potentially bring them here. Right now, Portland, Maine is like really big with neo-burlesque, in Boston too, and we have a really big classic base here, and I love that. But I'd also like to bring that weirdness back. I love to bring that neo-burlesque back and bringing artists from other space and showing people in the area, like, look at all this other stuff we have too. I think that's a great way of doing it. So
I love that you love to bring the weird.
I try.
So
I know a lot
much.
of people look at me as classic, but
No, you bring the
I
weird.
have that based inside, and
You do.
beast or base, whatever inside. I'd like to bring that back to New Hampshire.
Going to shows is the best way. Burlesque is not an ivory tower. It's not a gated community. If you come up and you want to meet performers, I don't want to speak for other people, but most of the time, like, we want to interact with people. We want to meet people. And if you're interested in burlesque, like, I know I would be very happy to talk to anybody who is like, I'm thinking about doing an amateur competition, or I'm thinking about auditioning for whatever. Like, I would love to spend my time talking to anybody about that. And amateur competitions are a great way to break in. I think I did Lady Luck's So You Think You're a Lady or a Gent, and I did not win, but I'm in Lady Luck now, and I think you went the same way.
Yep, same way.
Yeah.
I mean, just because you don't win doesn't mean there isn't a chance you will join, because, like, if people like you based on who you are and your performance, I mean, you have a chance of getting in without you begging, you know? People will see the magic in you.
You don't necessarily get into a troupe because of how much dance background you have. Like I have said 100 times, I have zero dance background. I got in because I do big facial expressions and they thought I was nice. Like, it's not just how well you perform, it's how well you perform with other people and how much you can show them that you care about your work and we care about each other. Being supportive of other performers gets you so far in the community, which I think is absolutely as it should be.
She was made to blow you away. She don't care what any man say. But you can watch her strut, but keep your mouth shut, or it's Ruination Day. Well, now she's gone. Long gone. Oh, now she's long. Yeah, now she's long gone like Moses.
The groovy way you spit. Ooh, you look good. Ooh, you smell good. Ooh, you taste good. Like a bad girl should. When I need love, I love how you feel. When I need dough, I love how you steal. I love your sick way you think. The way your perfume makes you stink. Ooh, you look good. Ooh, you smell good. Ooh, you taste good. Like a bad girl should.